NBA All-Star reserves have been announced, and my God, is it terrible and good at the same time. We're just going to hop right into it and start off with the Eastern Conference reserves, where first off, we have Joel Embiid, who honestly deserves it. I think this is a very clear pick. Yeah, not much to say about him. Jaylen Brown, obviously a lock. He goes right next to Joel Embiid, of course. Bam Adebayo. Now, before, I genuinely thought Bam Adebayo was going to get snubbed out of this list. I thought he was going to be one of the players that everyone was upset about when he didn't get selected, but he did make the reserves, and I'm very happy about that. I think it's really cool to see him on there, and I'm glad the Heat get some sort of player in the All-Star game. Crazy that Jimmy Butler is not in, though. I will say that's pretty wild. But yeah, happy for Bam Adebayo. Julius Randle of the New York Knicks has made the All-Star game. That's kind of crazy because you really only had two choices when it came to who on the New York Knicks would make the All-Star game. It would either be Jalen Brunson or it'd be Julius Randle. They went with one of them, and I'm not going to lie. If you're a Knicks fan, maybe you're a little bit upset. Maybe you want to see Jalen Brunson get that instead of a guy like Julius Randle, who has been an All-Star before. But other than that, I am happy to see a Knicks player get in. They're doing good this year. And yeah, good for Julius Randle. Drew Holiday, who in my opinion has been snubbed out of many All-Star games, has finally gotten another one this year. He is a 2023 NBA All-Star. Very deserved. With how much the Bucks have gone through with injuries and everyone being out and stuff, he has been such a solid player. He always has been a great player. He has never really gotten the credit he deserves for that. So it is very cool to see him on this list. Yeah, very, very happy for Drew Holiday. I think that's a great pick. Next up on the East is DeMar DeRozan. I love DeMar DeRozan, but I feel like with how much he's regressed this year, not having that great of a year that he had last year, I find it really hard to see him on this list. Like I said, I love DeMar DeRozan. I love the Bulls, but for him to be on this list is kind of crazy to me because I feel like there's a lot of players who deserve this spot over him. I mean, that sounds really mean, but they're obviously great players. So I'll go over soon what players I think deserve the spot over DeMar DeRozan, but still, congratulations to DeMar DeRozan. Maybe this will be the start. They could turn some things around and get back in the playoffs, but we'll see. Next up from the Indiana Pacers is Tyrese Halliburton. Now, being a Kings fan myself, it makes me very happy to see Tyrese get this respect. He's just such a great player. He's going to be one of the best point guards in a couple years. I mean, he's already starting to get to that point where he's considered in like the top tier of point guards in the league right now. So this is only the beginning for Tyrese. I mean, there is so much more to come from him. Very happy for him. Congratulations, Tyrese. And to the Pacers fans out there, congratulations, guys. Now, before I get into the Western Conference, I'm going to go over some players who I think should have been in the Eastern Conference reserves that maybe got snubbed. I'm not saying there's certain players that they should have been over. There's some crazy snubs out here. Starting off with Brunson, we already kind of went over this with the Julius Randle one. I personally think either one of them was going to get in. I don't think both of them were, but one of them for sure. They went with Julius Randle. That's all good. Next up is Pascal Siakam, and I'm kind of contradicting myself with what I'm about to say here. I really take team record into matter when it comes to All-Star games or any really accolade at any point. And the Raptors being 12th in the East right now, being 23-30, I don't know. I don't know if I think that he should be an All-Star, but then again, you have DeMar DeRozan with the Bulls, who are just one seat above them, that made the All-Star game. So if you're going to call that, then I genuinely think that Pascal Siakam definitely contests for that spot. With that being said, I'm not like 100% like Pascal Siakam was snubbed. I just think that he, was probably in that conversation, didn't get picked. We move on. Now, these next two I'm about to go over is crazy. I don't know how they didn't get in. Starting off with Trae Young. Listen, I know not everyone likes Trae Young. He hasn't had the craziest year today. Okay, he's not going to take his team to the Eastern Conference this year. They're an 8-seed team. They're right now a 500 team, and he's a solid player. I feel bad for Trae Young because I feel like he accomplished so much in the first couple years of his career that now if he doesn't have his team going to the Western Conference or being really high up in the East, he's not going to get stuff like an All-Star appearance because people are used to him being that good. So yeah, I'm not going to say who I think he deserved the spot over, but there are people on this list I think he deserved it over. And then the last one that genuinely blows my mind is James Harden not being on this list. Now, I think the problem with James Harden is the same exact problem that Trae Young has. Everyone is so used to seeing James Harden be that guy, the 2018 Rockets, that type of James Harden, that they find it hard to believe that he can be a contributing player, but not be the complete all-star and the MVP candidate on a team. And also, my other thing that I find to be really important is team record, like I said earlier, and the 76ers are third in the East. I don't know how high the 76ers would be without James Harden on their team. Obviously, they'd still be a good team, but you know what I mean. So there's your Eastern Conference reserves, people who I think got snubbed, all that. Now let's move on to the West. Starting off with the Western Conference, we have Ja Morant, another very easy lock. No complaining about this one. Next up is Lauri Markkanen, who I believe should also take away the Most Improved Player award, but there he is. That's an easy lock. No complaining about that one. After that, you have Domantas Sabonis, who as a Kings fan myself, love to see it. Very happy for him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Listen, I have a hot take when it comes to SGA, and I'm going to go into it after when we start talking about snubs, but SGA is an all-star. He's on the all-star reserves. That's how it is. I'm going to get into that later. Next up is Paul George. Now, the Clippers are the 4th seed in the West, so I don't really have much to complain about here. It is still kind of a crazy pick, but you know what? It's whatever. We move on. After that, you have Damian Lillard, who I think obviously deserves this spot as well. Great player. I see a lot of people talking about MVP candidate. I don't know what that talk comes from. And the last one, the craziest one I think I've seen ever, Jaren Jackson Jr. has gotten an all-star reserve spot. I don't know if the Grizzlies scorekeeper had a vote on the all-star reserves this year, but if he did, it makes sense to see Jaren Jackson Jr. in this spot. With Jaren Jackson Jr. being a defensive player of the year candidate, I can understand how he's like in the position to be an all-star, but with the players that he beat to be an all-star is crazy. So there's all your Western Conference all-stars. Let's go over the snubs because it's not good. Listen, I know I'm a Kings fan, but if you cannot look at this list and see that De'Aaron Fox got completely scammed out of being on this list, you are high. You are actually high. These past couple years, De'Aaron Fox has been playing at an all-star level, but never really got the recognition, never got the votes because the Kings were so bad. With that being said, everyone would always say that he just puts up empty stats or that the team needs to start winning for Fox to become an all-star. Well, the team is winning. He's putting up better stats, and he's still not an all-star. Now, I believe Fox could have gotten a spot over Paul George, Jaren Jackson Jr., but another person who I think is very debatable in getting an all-star spot is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and hear me out on this. Like I said earlier, De'Aaron Fox played great these past couple seasons, all-star level worthy, but because the team was bad, it was considered empty stats and no one cared. With that being said, the Thunder are currently the 12th seed, and somehow when it's SGA, it's not empty stats anymore. It's, wow, he's doing great out there in the West, but they're the 12th seed. Their team's not going to go anywhere. Now, let me remind you, the Kings are the 3rd seed, with De'Aaron Fox being one of the main guys, if the second or the first guy, however you want to put it, carrying this team to a 3rd spot in the West, and somehow SGA gets a spot over him. I don't see it. Congratulations to SGA. Congratulations to everyone on the West, but it's crazy. I'm editing this right now, and I realize I sound like a complete asshole in this take. I do believe SGA deserves to be an all-star, and I am very happy that he is. Yeah, that I really just want to make that clear because he should be an all-star. So yeah. Another player who I believe got snubbed is Anthony Edwards. He's been someone who has carried this Timberwolves team. We all saw how bad the Rudy Gobert trade was. Okay, they're not as good as everyone thought they'd be. Cat has been out for a bit. Without Anthony Edwards, this team would be nothing. They'd be down, waiting for Victor Wembanyama to join their squad, but instead he is there helping this team every step of the way. It's insane that he's not on this list. Now, for those saying that Anthony Davis or that Kawhi Leonard got snubbed out of the Western Conference, don't talk to me, please. If they haven't played over 30 games, they're not an all-star. Let's get that straight. Yeah, they simply have not played enough. I do not want to hear that. I'm tired of hearing it. Stop. With that being said, I just recently watched a JJ Redick podcast talking about the All-Star game and how the league has expanded, yet the All-Star player selections have remained the same, making it practically impossible to become an All-Star even though you're putting up an insanely good season. I think that, along with the fan voting, just makes All-Star so stupid. With how much being an all-star matters when it comes to an accolade like resume, it is ridiculous how poorly it is done. But yeah, with that being said, I'm very excited to see this year's draft process because apparently they're doing it like right before the game. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, there's my takes on this year's all-stars. Let me know what you think down below. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I dumb? Am I smart? I'll see you guys in the next video. Which, by the way, the next video is going to be one of my biggest videos I've ever done. So stay tuned, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.